Ladies and gentlemen, the RT Boxing Show with Mr. A, episode 15, will begin shortly. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It is that time, folks. Number 15 is on its way. Thank you for tuning in. It is Ready Talk Boxing. I am your host, Mr. A. Let's get into it. We're going to do a February 3rd recap, some devastating knockouts, some belts on the line, the WBSS, the Ultimate Showdown. Gassif and Usnik is on its way. Like I said, we got some knockouts, maybe some knockouts of the year, knockouts of the month. We have some newly announced matchups in the middleweight division set for April. We'll have your attention. Let's get into it. First, we're going to start off with a little bit of a quick one, what the F. Andy Lee is ranked number 5 by the WBC. Whoa. You know, just that. I don't know how that happened. I don't know where that came from. I believe his last fight was an 8-rounder. I don't know what they have planned for him, what they're working up in, but Andy Lee is out of nowhere number 5 for the middleweights in the WBC. Wow, that was very surprising. I just saw that today. Now, going over the February 3rd, so we had the Matchroom Okoli versus Chamberlain card. We had the WBSS card, and I let you guys know that WBSS card was probably the best card in the World Boxing Super Series. It had 7 title fights, and each fight lived up to a great. It was just entertaining. Even the Dolarolo versus Maxim fight, the Olan Rowoju versus Maxim. Even that fight, it started off very sloppy, but it ended up being good. Now, a quick little recap. We will just run through them. You know, so I did do post-fight recaps on each fight for the Okoli Chamberlain card and for the WBSS card as well. So this is just going to be a recap. Now, the Okoli Chamberlain fight, you saw the prospect flaws. And the reason why I want to talk about that fight first, I want to tie that fight to the Maxim Velasco versus the Olan Rowoju Dolarula. Because those fights were sloppy fights, but you got to see the difference in the levels of the I guess say boxings and levels. Olowokandi and Chamberlain's was a sloppy hug fest, and it stayed there. While Vlasov versus Dolarula, same thing. It was a sloppy hug fest, but you got to see how those fighters, even though it was a sloppy hug fest, you got to see the level where they were able to land at least some clean shots without just hugging. They'll land some clean shots and then hug. Chamberlain and Lawrence, they did a lot of hugging and holding. No one really was able to get off clean shots. At least Chamberlain wasn't able to get off many at all. While Lawrence, he landed the right hand occasionally with some little sloppy body hooks. It was a bad showing. Wow. And they were both for belts. The WBA Continental was for Okoli, while the Maxim fight, that was for I believe that was for the WBA. The whole the whole WBSS card was WBA for the most part, but that was for the WBC silver. Now what that means is because Maxim is ranked by the WBC number 3 also for the WBA, number 6 for the IBF, and number 2 for the WBO. So across the board, he's highly ranked. So if he's the WBC silver, most likely the winner of this tournament, the World Boxing Super Series, the cruiserweight, they're gonna have to defend that WBC versus Tony Bellew, because he is the champion in recess, and he gets first crack at that belt. Now, Maxim, who is the silver champion, most likely he's going to get first crack at the winner of Bellew and whoever comes out of the tournament. That's what that silver belt does, unless maybe the loser of Gassif and Usnik, maybe they'll fight him for that silver. But he's in a great position with that silver belt. Great position. And he got it in a sloppy fight, but he was able to turn it around and really pinpoint his openings. Now, moving on from those two sloppy hugfest fights, we move on to the other main event, Gassif versus Dorticos. Well, what can you say? Those guys are hitting each other hard as hell. Gassif just had the chin and the gas tank, to absorb that power. That just let you know he was in shape, cause those guys hit each other hard as hell. But it goes to show you that if all you have is one hand or one trick pony, you can be defeated. And that's why a lot of people, aren't too sure about Wilder versus AJ. Yeah, Wilder has that right hand. Can it knock him out? Sure. Can Dorticos knock out Gassif? Sure. But was he able to land it? He that's all he was able to throw, and Gassif was kind of able to neutralize it enough where it wasn't as dangerous. Will AJ be able to neutralize Wilder's right hand? Maybe go to the left. Who knows? But now, moving on, the WSS card, boy oh boy, both these cards had some knockouts, folks. We're talking Nick Webb on the Okoli Chamberlain card. I forgot exactly who he fought, but who did Nick Webb fight? I forgot who, but dropped him in this Veronica. Dropped him with a right hand that made his leg do a shake. He couldn't get up. His head hit the canvas hard. That is possible knockout of the month. But then we go back to the the WBSS across the world. Not across the world. That fight was in London. And then you go to Russia, where people are getting knocked out too. You have Futa, Hurricane Futa versus Vage. You had Craig Evans taking on Roman Adriv. That was vicious. That was a fight. A lot of these fights, I just ran out of time. I had them, but I just couldn't. I didn't put them up as a breakdown. But I wish I could have told you guys to watch this card, because it was some fights on that card. Now that Roman and Evans fight, that fight was just two fighters coming at each other, banging the hell out of each other. And the end of it, if you have not seen this fight, go watch this fight. It's a good fight. Roman Adriv, he hit Craig Evans with a light switch punch. Because for 9 rounds, these guys were just hitting each other. And all of a sudden, he caught Evans with a hook, and the switch went. Evans, I don't know how Evans did it, but he did not fall. But he was out on his. He was sitting there. He did one of these. Got hit again. Got hit again. It was like if this was a Hollywood movie, he would have been dead in the ring. Like the way Apollo Creed looked in Rocky IV against Drago. That's the way Craig Evans looked. He was rocked. He was, like I said, the light switch was. He was sitting there. Like I said, he was sitting there. He was actually starting to take over the fight. Once he went back to boxing, he was starting to win that fight. But he got hit with that. He got hit with that left. I mean that right, left, right. Like I said, great job for the referee, because that referee stopped it. He let the point be proven, but he stopped it right in time, because Evans could have been hurt bad. Like I said, if this was a Hollywood movie, Evans probably would have been dead. It would have been Evans' younger brother trying to revenge in this movie, because he like I said, right after that he was in the corner, like, oh, I'm good, I'm cool. He was shooken up for about 20 seconds, but he was back to normal. So good. Hopefully everything is okay for Evans. But like I said, that light switch was turned off. And then we go to Vage. I can't pronounce his last name, but he was number 12 by the WBC. He was the WBC International Lightweight Champion, to mention. And Hurricane Futa, that guy. It's a funny Japanese style, man. The way he fights, he does some of the Kamagai stuff. He just runs at you, some wild, awkward style. But he dropped Vage in, I think, round 3. And what I liked is I see a lot of Japanese fighters do this. When they do drop someone, they acknowledge the crowd. I like that. So he's in Russia. He dropped him. He's walking around the ring. So I thought that was kind of cool. Dropped him with a nice exchange in hooks. Caught him with a left. And in round, I want to say, was it 7? The same punch. I wouldn't say he was getting beat down, but a barrage was coming his way. And what was so cool, you saw him. What they say. You saw he was in a calm in the eye of the storm. He was and you see him like he's dodging punches. He's thinking about it. All of a sudden, pow! A quick 6-inch punch. Just, dude, it was like the ref stopped it instantly. The dude fell, and the ref looked. He's like, no. I guess he must have seen his face, just like, because it was like I said. Vage was throwing a barrage, and then the champ was throwing a barrage at him. Hooks, jabs, and Futa was just getting hit, keeping his calm. You could see him; he was looking for the opening. He thought about it one time, thought about it again. All of a sudden, Vage was just getting a little overconfident, a little swinging too wild. His head sitting there, and soon he threw a right. Boom! That 6-inch left hook came. The same one that dropped him in round 3. This time, because in round 3 he got up pretty quick, like, I can't believe I got hit with that. This time, because the whole fight, even though his style was very awkward and sloppy, Futa's shots was doing more damage, but he was just getting hit way too often by the champion. So now, his name is Hurricane Futa. Hurricane Futa is the new WBC International Lightweight Champion. Upset number 12 by the WBC. Well, he upset Vage, who is ranked number 12 by the WBC. Now, poor Vage, like I said, he was not only did he lose his belt, he got knocked out. So he took 1 L for losing his belt, another L for being knocked out, and the trifecta, he took 3 L's. He's the only home guy who lost on that World Boxing Super Series card. All the other Russians won. but not Vage. He got knocked out, lost his belt. So we move on. So those were the knockouts. Over in London, Nick Webb knocked out Veronica dangerously. Dangerous right hand. Then you have Futa with the 6-inch punch, the Japanese Hurricane, knocking out the WBC International Lightweight Champion. But that was deadly. Referee just stopped it. And then you had the Dorticos and Gassif, of course. That was, but it wasn't a knockout. You know, Dorticos kept getting up. These ones I'm talking about, fight over. Nick Webb, when he knocked out Veronica, fight over. Those are knockouts. Futa and Vage, 6-inch punch, over. And then you had Andrew and Evans. That's it. That was a good fight. It's going to be in it's a very early setter, but it's up there with a fight for February. It's up there, and that light switch combination, over. So not only was it a fight of the month, it could be some knockout of the month. Very good stuff. And then moving on from those, a little talk here. We'll move on to some boxing talk now, some other topics. That's just a quick recap of the third. By the way, this is the Double RT Boxing Show. You know where you're at. You know who I am. And new viewers, if you forgot who I am Mr.A, and I'm asking you, please give a thumbs up. New viewers, subscribe while you watch this show. It's the Double RT Boxing Show. I talk boxing. I try and go worldwide when I can. My time's been all crunched up, but I'm still going. Success never stops. Now we're moving on to some boxing news. And moving on from the WBSS card, the cruiserweights, we're going to speak about where is Andrew Tabiti. You got Caleb Plant coming up with a fight. He's in. While everyone's doing the whole middleweight tournament, he's trying to make some noise. You got other people in different divisions for the tournament getting fights. Now you got this cruiserweight tournament going on. Where is Andrew Tabiti? He's ranked number 2 by the WBC. Ranked number 2 by the WBC. So you figure you got Gassif the champion. You got Galaki, number 1. Number 2, you got Andrew Tabiti, and number 3, you got Maxim Velasquez. So the one I just mentioned with the WBC Silver Cruiserweight Champion. So between Galaki and Maxim is Andrew Tabiti. It's time for him to step up. And he didn't look too sharp against that Cunningham fight. Everyone thought that'd be a nice showcase fight for him. Mayweather Promotions, you can't protect that guy. You can't protect him too much longer. He's number 2 by the WBC, number 15 by the WBA. Now, unless they want to go the WBA route, and that's still I'm sorry. WBC is a USIC. So unless they want to go Gassif route on the WBA. So either way, they're going one of those guys' routes. They're going to be one of those 2 guys are going to be undisputed. So you got a longer building process if the Mayweather Promotions still want to let Tabiti learn. He's going to have to go that WBA route. Climbing from 15 on up. Because, like I said, number 2 in the WBA. He's either fighting Maxim for that silver title. He's going to fight Galaki. Even if he takes a step back, and fight number 5, 6. So let's find out exactly who Andrew Tabiti can fight. Is it because he's not looking sharp as of lately? He has not looked dominant at all. Can't get that quite going yet, but who will he fight? I don't I don't see him beating Golovkin. Him and Maxim would be a good fight because Maxim, he has the type of punching, the fighting style. He doesn't move as fluently as Usyk, not as light on his toes, but he does the turning, but he does that just volume punching, tap 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 tap. And then like when it starts to come on, that's when he gets more and more. So it's interesting to see, will Tabiti have the volume, the gas tank to withstand that type of fighter? Because Tabiti is kind of used to just setting that slow pace. And Maxim, he holds, he wears you out, with his weight. So we have it right here. Tabiti, WBC. Not much is known for the cruiserweights, but you got number 2, Andrew Tabiti, number 3, Maxim, number 4, Kevin Lerena, number 5, Ola Rwanda, and that's who Maxim just defeated for the WBC belt. Number 8, Dmitry Kradrev, who Dorticos knocked out in the first round. Maybe that's a name. Maybe he might fight him. He could fight Mike Perez, number 10. So but why, like Marco Huck, number 12. But he would have to go backwards. But I guess if he needs name recognition, I guess he could fight, some of the best that was in that tournament. If he wanted to go the WBA route, he's number 15. He has a list of a lot of names that I do not know. I'm not too familiar with all these overseas cruiserweights, but the ones I do know are number 3, Maxim, number 7, Ruslan Fairfev, number 13, Dmitry Kradrev, the one Dorticos knocked out. So it's Andrew Tabiti is going to be, as they say, in a tough pickle. I don't know why they say that. Oh wow, that is weird. Sorry for the weird interruption here, but I'm seeing nature at its survival matter here. A spider has caught something in its web, and he's slowly bringing them up. Someone's about to get wrapped up, and that insect is done. You just see him going. Oh, that's crazy. That is crazy. If you're into that type of nature stuff, survival instincts, that spider got him. He's taking him up. He's taking him up. He's gone. He's gone. So go back to where Tabiti, number 2 in the WBC, number 15 in the WBA. That's gonna be strange, folks. That's gonna be real strange, and I'm gonna keep an eye on and see where Tabiti goes. Will he be protected, or will the reins be let loose? And we'll find out. I believe he's like 15-0 right now, maybe 12 or something knockouts. I'm not too sure. Now moving on to other news that's going around, you have Bellew, who during the Matchroom card on the 3rd, I like Bellew. He's a very good commentator. He pulls for his home, his state. He pulls for his UK fighters, but he's not overly biased on his commentating. If someone's doing bad, he lets you know they're doing bad. I would say like he's up there with a Roy Jones, Andre Ward to me. I think Tony Bellew is a very good commentator, and during one of the commentators, I think it was Adam Smith, he's like, oh, David Hay is back there, and he's talking and Tony Bellew just sitting there. Looked like he's on vacation. Looked like he was on a holiday, doesn't it? I'm not surprised. And Adam Smith's all, well, you want to go shake his hand, or just put something. He's like, oh, there's gonna be more than just shaking hands, and he's no friend of mine. So Tony Bellew just talking that smack, living that fight up, doing it good. Now he also mentioned in Boxing Scene, he's like, remember he wanted to fight Deontay Wilder. He's like, I wanted to fight him, And this is why, like I said, Tony Bellew is a very honest guy, and his commentary, you've seen him do interviews. He's very honest, Now, he said, I wanted to fight Deontay Wilder until I saw him in person. I shook his hands, we hugged. That dude's arms went around my body. He's like, because I'm not going to put myself in that harm's way and give someone that big of a have myself at that big of a disadvantage. For you to let yourself know, like, hey, that dude has way too much reach, way too much power for me. I'm not even going to fight him. He's like, Deontay Wilder is off my list. I was just hyped out. I was hyped up. I beat David Haye. I was feeling the fun. Now, the only one he said he would fight on the heavyweights is Joseph Parker and Tyson Fury, because even though he's a same monster size as Wilder, he doesn't feel Fury is a as dangerous puncher. Kind of agreeable on that one. Now, of course, Bellew did say after this Haye fight, he wants his cruiserweight belt back, and that's going to be, everyone was thinking it's going to be Usyk who wins the tournament. But now with this gas of destruction of Dorticos, you don't know, man, because that fight's going to be good. Dorticos tried his best to, put some bombs on Gassif, and from what we've seen, all the way from first fight to now, Usyk don't hit, at least his punches is not delivered to the eye test as Dorticos is. Usyk gets hit, his punches are not delivered hard, and that pity tat 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 hopping around the ring, that's not going to slow down Iron Man. Iron Man's going to blast through that. So it's going to be real interesting to see if Usyk's going to have to sit down, what is it in the comic book world? Is Usyk going to have to get his Hulk bust? Yeah. Well, he is Iron Man, but Gassif is Iron Man, but I don't know, maybe he's going to have to get his Hulkbuster suit or something, because he has to be a bigger Iron Man than the Iron Man himself. Maybe he's got to be War Machine. He's like, okay, you're Iron Man, I'll be War Machine. Because that's, like I said, I'm pretty sure everyone had Usyk favorite to win this fight, but those tolls just went a little iffy on that one. Now, more news popping out, which is fighters always do this. Being that Danny Garcia fight is coming out, I believe the 17th against Brandon Rios. It's getting closer and closer, and people aren't really caring about that fight there. I think they're more intrigued about the undercard of that. Oh man, what is that? Some bug was on my phone. And I believe the undercard is the where's Danny Garcia at? The David Benavidez, that's right. I believe that's kind of taking the attention away from the Brandon Rios fight, the Gravel and Benavidez rematch. So what is Danny Garcia doing? He's talking about Errol Spence, oh yeah, that's a very good fight for me. I could beat him, So basically getting people talking about Danny and Errol Spence now, but all the way up until now, he wasn't mentioning nothing with Errol Spence's name. He always said, yeah, of course, I feel the best I could beat anyone, but just how boxers do it. They mention other fighters' name to get you intrigued in their fights, make you get a little, oh, he beat Brandon Rios. He said he wanted to fight Errol Spence. Hey, Errol, would you fight Danny Garcia? Errol's going to need a voluntary defense after Ocampo, so maybe we'll see exactly how game Danny is, because he's the second mandatory to Keith Thurman after Sean Porter. So it's going to go Keith Thurman versus Sean Porter in that rematch. Danny Garcia gets that winner. Now, will he wait another fight? So after the 17th, will he wait basically into the end of the year to get a title shot? Or will he just go his next fight right into Errol Spence. Well, most likely he's gonna have to still wait for the end of the year because Errol Spence is gonna have to fight Campos. So same time frame. We'll see how game Danny Garcia is about him fighting Errol Spence. And then another one, Horn and Crawford, quick little with the Pacquiao on the undercard. Not quite sure if it is going to be Alvarado. Well, that's what everything's pointed, but that's looking like that's not going to be on the ESPN. That will be a pay-per-view. It's weird, hearing pay-per-view again. I think the last pay-per-view was what, Golovkin and Triple G, and that did good. That did good numbers considering the pay-per-view era now. But Horn, Crawford, don't get me wrong, Crawford's a beast. Crawford is a beast. Even now he's starting to be vocal, telling people let's go outside, dissing boxing society for dissing him. So he's becoming an unknowingly kind of bad guy. And now you got a bad guy who could whoop ass. Mayweather was a bad guy who was fancy in the ring. Crawford's a bad guy who slowly, I won't say he's a bad guy because he's still a very humble guy, but he's given that bad guy vocally. He's being vocally now with some bad, he's giving that attitude. He's not necessarily being a bad guy. He's saying some honest stuff here, but he's coming across very defensive, very tough. Before he was always just humble. I do my talking in the ring. Now he's like, what? Benavidez, let's go outside. Oh, Lomachenko, you think he's best? Fight me. He's rubbing fans and social media and regular media. He's rubbing some people the wrong way. If you don't like it, shut him up. He's telling you, if you don't like what I'm saying, shut me up. I'm the best. Shut me up. Errol Spence, I'm going to beat him. Thurman, I'm going to beat him. I want to take over this division. So you got to like, and this is what everyone always wanted from Terence Crawford. They're like, oh, he's great. He's a good fighter. Probably one of the best pound for pound, number 1 or 2, maybe 3. Some people still got, Triple G and Canelo up there. So somewhere up there, somewhere in the top 4 is Terence Crawford. Who cares how you have it? Some people have it all different orders, but he's in the top 4, pound for pound. But they were always saying like he can't sell. He's too humble. Now that he's talking, do you still like little humble Crawford, or is he kind of rubbing you the wrong way? Like I don't like that attitude. He's talking about beating up my fighter. That's my favorite fighter. He's talking about beating up. So we'll see how the boxing fans and the media kind of treat Crawford in this year and the following year to come. See after this Horn fight, because like I said, even though Crawford is a beast, is he technically better boxer than Jeff Horn? To the eye test, absolutely. Can he beat Horn? Majority of the people think he can, but Horn's a big guy. He's game. He has a chin. He has movement himself. He has pretty good. He has about all the punches. He could throw all the punches. He has that hippity hop uppercut. He hops to the side with his body hooks, head hooks. So it's going to be a good matchup. Now it just, with all that movement on the outside, is just going to be sitting there, move, and get picked off. So it's going to be real interesting to see. But Crawford is talking about that. Yeah, that fight between Crawford and Horn with Pacquiao on the undercard is most likely going to be a pay-per-view. And if it is going to be a pay-per-view, obviously the pay-per-view factor is the fact that Manny Pacquiao is on that undercard. Because Horn and Crawford, that fight was going to be on ESPN. Now just adding Pacquiao on it, you got Horn, Pacquiao, Crawford. That don't sound like a pay-per-view event. Especially if you got Pacquiao fighting Mike Alvarado. That better be a cheap-ass pay-per-view. Because I know that in UK, the pay-per-views are like, well, I don't know how it quite transfers to the US dollar, but I think they're like what, $29.95 maybe. That pay-per-view in the States better not be no damn $70 for HD, $80 for HD. That better that better be some UK prices, dude. That pay-per-view better be back to the old school, like maybe $49.95. Then Crawford might become a pay-per-view star if they could drop a pay-per-view down to $49.95. But there is no reason why Crawford versus Horn with Pacquiao versus Mike Alvarado should be any more than $49.95, if that. And I'm talking $49.95 for HD. Should be that should not be no $59.95 for HD. $59.95 is like basically, I guess that's your common video game right now. Common video game. You could get yourself a nice little PS4 controller for that, or go buy a pay-per-view. So that is that. And then, as I mentioned earlier, there's been 2 fights. Well, one fight is booked and penciled in, and the other one is in the works for April. The middleweights, trying to line up, and that is Daniel Jacobs. And Daniel Jacobs being the former regular WBA champion, he's trying to get a fight for the 28th. And on the 14th, which is booked and penciled, is the new regular WBA champion, Ryota Marotta. He's booked in fighting Emmanuel Balamora, the Italian fighter. So that's booked in for the April 14th. And then on the 28th, which is, this is Eddie Hearn doing what Eddie Hearn does good. He's using the nationalities, the local surroundings. It's in Brooklyn. So, for those folks around the world who watches this video, thank you. Please, like I said, this is that time. This is that quick little thumbs up segment. If you don't know, New York has a very, very good Polish population. So and Danny Jacobs is, Brooklyn boxing, Brooklyn, New York. They're trying to set up April 28th in the Barclays Center in New York, where the Polish population is, against the Polish fighter, Magic. I think it's Magic Solika. He's the only one. If you don't know who he is, you might recognize him. If you've seen him on the PBC, he's the one who defeated Centennial Jr. He's the only one that's the only loss on Centennial Jr.'s record. And Centennial Jr. is the one who's about to fight Charlo for this interim WBC belt. So, but the thing that's weird, that was Saluki. That was his last fight at middleweight when he defeated. Not only did he knocked out, I believe he stopped Centennial Jr. But after that fight, he dropped down to the super welterweight 154, and he did 3 fights. So now he's gonna have to come back up to 160, and he's already, I think he's like 25-0 with like 10 knockouts. So he's a boxer, so he doesn't have much power. Going back and forth in the weight, it's gonna be interesting because he's taller than Jacobs. He's 6'1". He has a 68-inch reach, while Jacobs is 5'11" with a 73-inch reach. So Jacobs going to be able to jab him all night, and Jacob does have those legs. So Jacobs could hop and move, jab. It's going to be real interesting to see how Saliki gets in, works his body, because I believe Saliki's a good fighter. I'm excited for this fight, because all those other ones, like, okay, who's Jacobs going to fight? Is it going to be Sullivan? Is it going to be Andy Lee? This one is, like I said, not only is it a good marketing move by Eddie Hearn to get the Polish fighter in the Polish community, because I'm telling you that those Polish fans are going to show up. Even though Danny Jacobs is going to be the hometown favorite, Saliki's gonna have a good fan. They're gonna come with their Polish flags. They're gonna rock out for that fight. That's gonna be real interesting to see how that plays off. Now, where does that leave if that fight does not come into fruition? I don't know where Danny Jacobs is. If that fight falls apart, it's gonna be real tough for Danny Jacobs to like keep himself relevant. Because you got, does he want to go get his regular title? Will that be too much of a step backwards? You know, if I was Team Jacobs, I'd be like, you know what? Go fight Ryota Murata. If you beat him, just vacate the belt. You know, just get that name. Get that name on your resume. You know, he's a hot prospect. Beating Ryota Murata would be a better victory than beating Saliki. You know, in my opinion, that's what I think. Because Saliki, like I said, he did his most probably notable wins is like I said 3 fights ago. He beat Centennial Jr. in like I want to say was it 2016 or 17, early 17. But his most recent victory was against Jack Coulee. So he got those. Those are his probably most 2 notable victories. So who knows what Danny Jacobs is going to go, but that's going to be very interesting. April is looking. Those are 2 fights in April. So we'll see if other middleweights start to get active in April. Because you got to figure, you got Triple G and Canelo coming, May 5th. So he's trying to stay in that line. You got Billy Joe Saunders, April. He's in April. So I want to say April 14th on the Terry Flanagan card. So you got 14th. You got Murata, Billy Joe Saunders, Danny Jacobs. So it looked like the middleweights might start to get on that April, then maybe what's another 6 months, October, November type schedule. We'll see. We will see. You know, Canelo fights in that September. That's what he's gonna fight. So everyone's trying to stay on that timeline to fight Canelo in September if he beats Triple G, and because it's been announced there's no rematch clause, and even if that is a good fight, I don't think people are going to want to see the trilogy right away, just like they didn't want to see Frampton and Santa Cruz. Good fights, but two banging fights. You're like, okay, I'm kind of burnt out on you guys. Go fight some other people, and then we'll see it again, maybe a year or 2. You know, just as long as you guys keep winning, we will watch that trilogy fight. And it's the same thing I think with Canelo and Triple G. Even right now, I'm not too excited for this rematch. I'll watch it, but I'm not. It's not on my top 5 fights to watch this year. Now, it might be, but it's maybe number 5. But just because I can't think of really other hot fights that's happening this year. But I'd rather see Horn and Crawford over Triple G and Canelo. That's just my opinion. What would you guys rather see? Right here, 32 minute mark. 43 minutes, 32 seconds. Now 37. The question for thee, which no one ever answers and replies back to me, but I still ask you guys. Triple G, Canelo, Horn, Crawford. Which one you want to see? I want to see how you guys think on that one. This is Mr.A for the Ready Talk Boxing. Episode number 15 is over and out. Thank you for tuning in. And like I said, new viewers, I hope you become new subscribers. To all my subscribers who watch this one, give a thumbs up. New viewers, give a thumbs up. See you on the next one.